Are you sure?
I thought
I just need like 2 weeks to get one of them.
No, 2 weeks. I was spring break this one. Did you? Oh, maybe if I could off.
I mean, all I did was I just took the index card and I just put a dot in the middle there, and then I just cut it, or you can draw a line.
And so we think you did it in like an elaborate way, and here you just drew a dot. Got it.
Just dot in the middle.
Marshmallows!
Want some marshmallows?
No, okay.
There'll be a lot left over. Oh, by the way, when you said that 1977, I think you said the penny was old. And I was thinking, because no, it's not old.
But like,
Yeah.
it is crazy that it's been around for that long.
Yeah. So I was thinking, oh, when I was 2021, if I'd gone back 40 years, I was thinking, oh yeah, I would have thought that was really old.
Like I would like to find it like in 1936. That's the year my grandma was.
Oh,
Are we
okay.
still talking about pennies?
Yeah, I think it would be so cool. I'm gonna go on a video, but I would love to find a mule, which is like a half penny and a half, I think it's a half a dime. And it was just a misprint, but they're very hard to find.
Oh my gosh, yeah, those,
I'm sure
yeah.
if you found them.
Really, they must have stamped.
It was, yeah, it was like, it's just an accident, it's just like, they got happened wrong, and they're called mules. And they're actually silver though, they're not like copper, the penny
Okay.
color. But I saw them one time like on the TV, and I thought it was the coolest thing, and I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna find a mule. But they're like $20,000.
Yeah.
So if you do,
Yeah.
keep it.
There's a penny like from the early 1900s that there's only like 5 of them, and they're worth $500,000 or
Yeah, I
whatever.
bet. It's crazy.
I want to find that penny. I want to find that penny, and I want to spend it at that candy
That
shop.
candy shop.
Oh.
I'm gonna buy the whole candy shop.
Look, we made 4.
Oh, well,
Oh,
look
you
at
made
you.
4. Yeah,
look
wow.
at
I can't take the credit, it was funny. You didn't stop with the extra stuff.
Listen, sometimes when you've been around a long time, like me, you learn some things. I'm just trying to pass it down to you youngins. Work smart, not hard.
I made like a lot of stuff
Also, I used the corners that I cut off. I just cut one
So
triangle
I was
out.
holding I literally just
Cut it right out.
I just mentioned to cut one triangle, but if you want to do more, that's,
See?
yeah.
How you do it? You just cut it right on the bottom.
It's like, thanks a lot.
Now you can make what? An Ohio flag out of that? Isn't that the pennant? Is that the way it looks?
Yeah. Yeah. Close it.
Yeah, pretty sure you did take that program.
Are we ready to move on?
Hold on, Rachel was,
It's close. It has to be angled in more. It's not, the top and bottom aren't straight. Yeah, they like angle. They angle. It almost is like you took a They're not straight, so I would need to like cut it on a diagonal.
Oh, okay. Oh, this in-depth thinking. Okay, we're ready to move on? I have an activity I want to do, and it goes with this book here. But first I want to read this. I want to show you this one book here. Now, I'm not really sure where and when square numbers come into play. I don't think it's in 3rd grade or 4th grade. Honestly, I don't know where the square numbers are, 3 squared, 5 squared, and so on. But this book is a nice way to introduce square numbers if it is in 3rd or 4th grade. Bats on Parade. The grandstands were packed on that midsummer's eve. Wing to wing, paw to paw, beak to beak, sleep to sleep. Let the good times begin, the Grand Marshal cried, and a bevy of bats dropped out of the sky. Can you see okay, everybody? There were bats from New Orleans and bats from Detroit. There were bats from El Paso and bats from West Point. They fluttered and flew down the Grand Promenade in a fabulous fanfare of bats on parade. The bat rangerettes did their high kick routine, and right behind them came the bat parade queen. She waved to the crowd for a flowery seed that floated along the confetti street. The whole exposition could have stopped when she passed, but ooh no, the show wasn't over. The best was the last. The air fairly crackled in anticipation as the marching bat band made a rare visitation. The battalion was led by one drum majorette, who blew her shrill whistle, and off they went. Off they were set. Okay, number one. First step, the piccolos piping in twos. There were 4 of those pipers with spats on their shoes. So you see the 2 by 2. Okay? So you kind of see that here's the 3 by 3 and so on. Okay? So if you'd like to introduce square numbers, I mean, certainly in 3rd grade you could talk about square numbers, but you wouldn't talk about them in terms of an exponent. You would just say 3 times 3 is a square number, and you could actually line up the items, have them make a 3 by 3 and a 4 by 4. You can see the square with the manipulatives, okay? So you're just telling them these are square numbers. So 16 is a square number, 4 is a square number, 9 is a square number. Does that sort of make sense? We okay with that? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, this is actually a very versatile book. You could use this in middle school, actually you can even use it in high school. Of course, in high school they would say, oh, this is kind of silly, but it really has the math in it that you could use this in a high school as well. But we're going to use it here in a 3rd grade class. So our 3rd graders, they know how to multiply, and at least they have the basic facts we talked about. So if you hop like a frog, if you hop like a frog, you could jump from home plate to first base in one mighty leap. Okay, so in other words, proportionally, if you could hop like a frog, that's how far they're going based on their size. If you were as strong as an ant, have you ever seen the ant? You know, they're carrying along these little twigs, but to them, you know, that's like a huge log. If you were as strong as an ant, you could lift a car. If you had the brain of a brachiosaurus, your brain would be smaller than a pea. Okay? So how are they figuring that out? What proportions are they using? What ideas are they using?
I don't know, like the size of his body versus the size of his head?
Yeah, the size of his body versus the size of his head. Okay, and so they're saying, okay, keep the size of your body, but let's shrink down your head so it matches in proportion. Okay? If you swallowed like a snake, you could gulp a hot dog thicker than a telephone pole. Okay? Because you know how the snakes, they actually can unhinge their jaws and open it. And you see that big like animal that's going through there. If you ate like a shrew, you could devour over 700 hamburgers in a day. If you high jumped like a flea,
What is a shrew? I've heard that.
actually I don't really know what a
Is there a
shrew is.
picture of it?
Is it a rabbit? It's like a mole. It's like a mole.
It's right there.
Oh, that little tiny thing?
Yeah.
But then what is
Yeah,
a mole?
yeah, that would be
That's
my
not
ideal
my
thing.
question, a mole.
Small, eating 700.
Moles are blind.
If you high jumped like a flea, you could land on Lady Liberty's torch. If you flicked your tongue like a chameleon, you could whip the food off your plate without using your hands. But what would your mother say? It's like what, Gene Simmons, is that who that is? If you craned your neck like a crane, you'd have to stretch your arm way up to scratch your head. If you had eagle eyes, you could spot a running rabbit from high in the clouds. If you dined like a pelican, you could slurp a triple root beer float in one mouthful.
That's another one I'm okay with. I'm okay with that.
Anything has to do with food, I'm okay with.
If you grew as fast in your first 9 months as you did in the 9 months before you were born, kept that rate of growth. After 9 months, you would have been a towering tot, taller than mountain tops and heavier than 2.5 million elephants.
Whoa. It's a big baby.
You wonder what's in that diaper.
Michigan.
What do you say, Michigan?
That's funny.
And then the football picture comes up, so then the segue is great.
And it's red. It's perfect.
If you scurried like a spider, you could charge down an entire football field in just 2 seconds. Did you ever see those little spiders you go to get them and they just pop over really far?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what's in my nightmares.
In my nightmares.
Oh, you see them in your night.
I hate spiders.
If you hug like a bear, wait a minute, you already do. All right? And here they talk about how they got proportions. So what we're going to do is, in 3rd grade, we aren't going to use proportions, we're going to use multiplication. Okay? And do some of these things.
I like that book.
Yeah.
It is a fun book. Okay? So, you're going to take a few measurements, and then you're going to participate in a few activities and create a few things to kind of give you an idea of how big your head would be, how long your tongue would be, and so on, to give you an idea how far you could jump. You're welcome. All right, so work with a partner. First, you're going to get a bunch of measurements at first. You're going to get your height, so that's what the yardstick is there for, your height in inches, the length of your head from chin to crown, so you can use the yardstick or you can use the rulers that are in the blue boxes, how wide you can open your mouth from top to bottom, how far you can stick out your tongue, how far you can broad jump, that's out in the hall, okay, and then how high you can jump, and that's this right over here by the light. Oh, yes? Oh, you well, imagine how much you could jump.
Okay.
That's right, you can't jump, or you can broad jump.
We're gonna
You
see
can't
how
broad jump either,
far
right?
you can
Okay.
reach, and then we'll add like 1 foot to it. I'm sure you could probably jump. 1 foot in real life.
Now, here's how you do your jump, because like I can reach up here 7 foot 3 inches. Okay, so that's my 0. And then when I jump up and I get that number, I subtract off 7 foot 3 inches. That's really how much I'm coming off the ground. Okay? All right. Now, once you do that, the rest of the things are some you're going to do some calculating. Like, for example, your broad jump, so you're going to see how far you could jump, and then you're going to see how far you could jump if you could jump like a frog. Okay? And then you're going to compare those two. All right, so that's what's going on here. Okay, so here's the Brachiosaurus. Now this one is going to take a little bit of thinking on your part, so I'm going to go through this one with you. A Brachiosaurus was a dinosaur that was 50 feet tall and had a head that was 2.5 feet from chin to crown. Okay? What number can you divide the height of a Brachiosaurus by to get the size of his head? All right, so in other words, 50 divided by 1 gives you 2.5. All right. Now, your students don't know how to do that. All right? So we have to think about a conceptual way of doing this. So how many 2.5s are in 50? That's what your students, that's another way to divide. Because 50 divided by 2.5 is really saying how many 2.5s are in 50. And if you look over here, you can just start counting up. I think those are by half inches. Or by halves, I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and then they have an in-between, like here's 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11. So your students could basically circle 2.5s in here and see how many 2.5s are in there. And they would figure out that number there, how 50 divided by 2.5. Okay? Then when you have that number there, you divide your height by that number, and that's going to give you the size that your head would be based upon your body. So it's going to be whatever your height is divided by that number there, so you have a very tiny head. Okay? And then what you do is you come over here and you blow up this balloon to the size of your head. Okay? And you can put a face on it if you'd like. All right? So that's going to be that part. Let's see. The next one is the size of your mouth if you could open it like a snake. So you're going to find out how big your mouth would be. And then you're going to come over here and you can cut out the pink that's actually the size of your mouth. You're kind of estimating it. And you can put the marshmallows around for the teeth and put a tongue on there, okay? Let's see. The size of your tongue, if it had the same proportions as a chameleon, so you're going to figure out how big your tongue would actually be, sort of like the boy that was on there. And then you can come up here, and you have the yardstick here, and you can cut out the size of your tongue. Okay, and actually some people tape it to the balloon, which actually, that'd be actually a real nice bulletin board.
Great, let's do it.
Or have it in the hallway too. All right? And then I think the last one here, I think there's one more. If you could jump like a flea, so you see the Statue of Liberty, so you're going to figure out how high you actually could jump, and then you're going to, I believe you're going to jump over the Statue of Liberty. Okay? So figure out your measurements and get the jumping distances that you're going to get, and then just work on this. And if you need to take a break, you know, this is what we're going to do probably most of the rest of the time today.
Where do you want to start? From jump?
You sure you don't want to try and jump, Grace?
Yeah, no, I can't.
Do we need Kit Kats? Was that from yesterday?
Oh, yeah, that was my
Do we
quality
need some?
breakfast.
Actually, I have some left over. I'll bring them in.
I'm only like 5'2".
That's what I was gonna say, you're like an inch. I'm gonna give you 26. Yeah.
So help yourself to any of this candy that's here. Grace chocolate's good for the bones. You can use the ruler too.
She's so bad. Just wait for her.
Maybe it depends on like how your hair is.
Yes.
Oh, I did have to get
Yeah, we just stood up to that and measured the difference.
Oh, that's a good
That's what we
idea.
did, because we do that with 6 feet, so.
Oh, that's good. That's using your problem solvers.
Okay. This was me an inch. I convert it. Yeah.
Long jump? Alcohol, yeah, you basically see, yeah, you just jump like this, and then you look where the back heel hits. Well, no, I think it's where the front is, because you're gonna be behind the line. So where your front toe ends, and that's, oh, they're already out there.
I can't say what number they are.
Like 2 3/4.
I cannot say.
There was someone in our class a year or two ago that they had like a fleshy thing under their tongue, and so they could only push their tongue out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, and they could only push it out very, very little. Like a
I'm surprised
wet.
they don't fix that, because for babies, a lot of them don't put a tongue tie so that they can like hold their mouth.
Oh, tongue tie. Maybe that's where
It's
that
called tongue
phrase,
tie, yeah.
that phrase comes from. Oh, okay.
It's, yeah, like where you have like, the skin is like really hold your tongue back, so you can't sit down.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
How high can you jump?
How far did you
So
jump?
you're at 6.
4.
Wow.
Just kidding. You had to stop your nose, so.
Did I? Foot.
Hers wasn't 4 feet.
Oh.
Oh.
I don't know how hardcore you would go. I just need to just jump.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, right here.
Yeah. 8-3. It doesn't say. It just says like jump like how many feet and how many inches. So 8 feet 3 inches.
Okay. But how high you can jump, isn't it the difference?
It's the difference.
So it's like 1 foot. So yours is 1 foot 0.
Yeah.
Okay. How high can you jump? Yeah.
Of course, you could get a running start, running here full speed, and then go up. No one wants to be.
They got her no nose in this class. Yeah, I know you're trying.
Well, you have your partner hold the manual.
Well, where are you measuring from? Like from here to come down?
Yeah.
Whatever got wet on you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, take this disease-ridden, ruler and rub your tongue over it, you'll see the wet part.
It's only 1 inch. You might as well see that 1 inch. Oh, I didn't realize that. So wait, how did you? What's your name?
Oh, I got 2 inches.
So I literally jumped my feet.
Someone tell me where I touch, ready?
Alright, ready?
My my nipple's gonna scrape on this. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna see what you gotta